One place where we certainly find sacred space in our lives is through the practice of forgiveness, either offering forgiveness to somebody else or receiving forgiveness offered to us. And one reason that forgiveness is sacred space is that we find it at the very heart of God, that God's character is described through the definition of forgiveness, which is more than just flippant sentimentalism, because forgiveness never ignores the harm that has been done. It is more clear to say that forgiveness is about healing brokenness or righting wrongs, working for something better on the horizon, something of a better future for everyone involved. And it applies to a lost relationship or division that emerges within a friendship, or stumbling blocks that are in the way of dialogue or conversation. That forgiveness works towards new beginnings, whether it is from a simple miscommunication or a grave mistake. In Will Campbell's book, The Glad River, he tells the story about several friends and their journey throughout life together. And you can tell that they are close friendships, not your ordinary run-of-the-mill acquaintance, but someone that you share history with and experience with because they only call each other by nicknames. There's Dupes and Model T and Kingston. And you watch them go through this journey of life together, asking rather profound questions, whether they realize it or not, and wrestling with some of the experiences that they've had in the past and that they have along the way, always looking out for one another, defending each other, taking care of one another. And Dupes, along his journey in life, finds himself repeatedly going back to an experience he cannot shake. That out of his experience in the war, he carries around a heavy burden of regret for his past actions, things that he cannot simply shake off himself. And later on in the book, you find him and his friends in this scene that is quite revealing, where Dupes finally tells those closest to him that he exposes some of these sense of regret and how things have shaped him and affected him from the past. And as he comes clean, so to speak, he turns to his friends and he asks them, "Do you forgive me?" And at first, they're speechless. They're shocked. They say, "Forgive you for what?" Because Dupes had not wronged them. They were not affected by anything that plagued him from the past, that they were not even with him in those moments that he cannot shake. But Dupes presses them again. "Do you forgive me?" And Kingston turns to Dupes and says, "Who do you think we are? God? God is the only one who can forgive." But Dupes responds by saying, "But we have to start with each other first." And it is then that Model T finally says, "Dupes, we forgive you." That somewhere down deep in our bones, we come to see that we need the forgiveness of others, to receive it and to offer it. That forgiveness is hard work, but it is sacred work. That somehow in the mystery of it all, forgiveness can remove the sting of destruction out of a moment that plagues us for years on end. That it is not immediate. Forgiveness takes time. That first, a wound needs to heal. We cannot rush forgiveness in the same way we cannot rush healing. But forgiveness can help us finally close a wound so that we do not reopen it easily again. That forgiveness can remove the power that something or someone has over our lives by finally letting go of the resentment or bitterness or hate that has consumed us. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Unless we learn to live together as brothers and sisters, we will die together as fools." That we must find a different way, a better way, to nurture and heal the connections that we have with one another, to ensure a better future for everyone. One of the most profound stories of forgiveness is that of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That after Nelson Mandela was elected president in South Africa, following all of the tragedies that are too numerous to count out of the wake of apartheid, Desmond Tutu was an archbishop assigned to work with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That they tried to seek out truth and reconciliation, where forgiveness would help them as a community to confront wrongdoers and to hear from victims. There were 3 subcommittees to this process. There was the Human Rights Violations Subcommittee that would investigate and identify victims and then refer them to the other subcommittee entitled Reparation and Rehabilitation, where they would gather to offer support to all victims. And then there was the Amnesty Committee, granting amnesty or forgiveness by application. Now, these public hearings were an effort to provide accountability and reparation, ensuring that forgiveness was simply not an excuse for moving on without moving forward. That it was an effort to move forward together so that the tragedies of apartheid would not have a lingering, negative, destructive effect. Now, of course, practice of forgiveness is not perfect. It does not always erase all bitterness or resentment. That our practice of forgiveness, that we need to leave some room for learning along the way. But this effort towards truth and reconciliation was so unique that it did provide some constructive healing in ways that are difficult to put into words. In fact, Desmond Tutu's book about this experience is entitled No Future Without Forgiveness. That Tutu writes, "Forgiving means abandoning your right to pay back the perpetrator in his own coin. But it is a loss that liberates the victim." Now, to be clear, forgiveness never abandons justice. Forgiveness just doesn't seek justice through retribution. That it is a restorative justice, restoring what has been lost, healing what has been broken, righting what has been wrong, through the means of grace and love and mercy and building something new. That we all need the forgiveness of others, whether that is receiving it or offering it. And when we give ourselves to that kind of work, without fail, we make room in our lives for sacred space. Because at the very heart of God is forgiveness. It is a steadfast, enduring love that never gives up and that never lets go. That yes, we can cause wounds in other people's lives, but through forgiveness, receiving it and offering it, we can participate in healing as well. That it is not a quick process, and sometimes it takes more than one attempt. And we must be open to learning how to do it along the way. But ultimately, it means that resentment does not get to control us. That the love of God can truly set us free. Amen.